Coughlin, and we hope that Andy Coughlin is doing well in retirement. So there's a man down for the Virgin Islands. Can the United States capitalize?
5-on-4, they go inside to Dwight Howard, and wisely, the Virgin Islands committing the foul. It's going to go against Kidwana Reimer. And you had brought up the name Roger Bell a few moments ago when referring to the Virgin Islands. Roger Bell was born in the U.S. Virgin Islands, eligible to play, but underwent surgery some 6 weeks ago, recovering on schedule, but unable to take part in this competition.
One of the advantages that the Virgin Islands has, as say opposed to Venezuela or Uruguay, is that they never get to play against the real top-tier United States players. But these guys playing college basketball throughout the United States and then going home to reunite for their country, the Virgin Islands, the mystique is not there that so many of the international players have when they come up against the United States as super elite players for the very first time as we come in at the under 2-minute mark of the second quarter.
Howard makes 1 or 2 free throws to make the margin 62-34. If you've watched some of the play here so far, you have to say that maybe the only 2 teams that are going to give the United States a run would probably be Brazil, A, and B, Argentina. Brazil had the day off today after defeating Canada yesterday. Argentina played its first game and won against Uruguay. LeBron looking pretty good so far. Back after this. 1:36 to go in the first half. The United States in control, 62-34, but the Virgin Islands, Bill Walton, outscoring the United States 21-20 so far in the second period.
The United States offense has ground to a halt. And some of that is the sense of relaxation after the tremendous spurt at the beginning that got the huge lead. But this United States, they have to find that level of self-motivation, drive, and determination that ignores the opposition and then just goes out and tries to play against an ideal standard of perfection. Carmelo Anthony continues his pursuit of that.
Carmelo Anthony, one of the better mid-range shooters in the league, has that great little jab step series, Bill, and used it effectively that time to give the United States a 30-point lead. Anthony with 15 on 5 of 6 from the field. 1:10 to go here, and that's going to be a foul underneath against the Virgin Islands. Now, in FIBA basketball rules, much like the NBA, you shoot the penalty on the 5th foul. And there's a look at the foul underneath against Reimer.
But you don't shoot offensive fouls at any level of basketball at all. So sometimes at the NCAA level, it's very confusing as to how they allow offensive fouls to be committed while still scoring a basket.
And Carmelo Anthony going to earn himself, Bill, another trip to the free throw line that time.
One of the great stories about the Virgin Islands is Walt Frazier, who easily one of the 50 greatest players in NBA history. Walt Frazier, the guy who authored arguably the greatest 7th game in the history of the NBA playoffs. When Walt retired back in the late 70s, he invested in a franchise in the short-lived U.S. Basketball League, and he moved to the U.S. Virgin Islands and obtained a charter boat captain's license. But then when Hurricane Hugo came in 1989 and wrecked everything, destroyed his home, destroyed his business, he came back and became the television analyst on the Knicks broadcast. But now he still has a bed and breakfast, Walt Frazier does, in St. Croix. It is truly a spectacular place, and our congratulations to Walt for truly using basketball to make a better life for himself rather than letting basketball use him. That guy is as great a champion who has ever lived, Walt Frazier.
Pretty innovative thinker, and I just really dig the hats that he used to wear back in the day, frankly, Bill. 65-34 with Kevin Shepard at the free throw line. The 27-year-old averaged about 5 points a game in the recent Pan Am games. The Virgin Islands, Bill, coming off a very significant victory a few months back, and for one of the first times in a very long time, I want to say ever, defeating Puerto Rico, and a lot of the players felt buoyed by the confidence that they gained in that. And for them, a small, tiny island nation like the Virgin Islands, to defeat Puerto Rico, somewhat of a giant on the big picture landscape, was a big accomplishment for them.
It's a very similar program where so many of the players go to college in the United States to learn how to play, but they don't have the population that Puerto Rico has. Puerto Rico is a major island of one huge one. But with St. Croix and St. Thomas and St. John literally having maybe 50,000 people per island, all the rest of the little cays and islands, literally nobody on them. You're talking a couple of 100,000 people to draw from your talent pool.
Krzyzewski watching as Dwight Howard commits the foul.
We were talking about the upcoming competition with Argentina and Brazil. Brazil looks to be the best team outside of the United States in this competition. Argentina, they're missing their top 5 players. And if you look at it from a big picture point of view for Argentina, it appears that they're just trying to rest their guys, their key guys, Ginobili, Nociones, Oberto, and get ready for next year.
That could be kind of perilous, though. I mean, that's when you're trying out on the last chance, like next July, if they don't make it here, have to qualify next summer, that can be kind of tenuous.
But the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place finishers will receive automatic berths to next year's pre-Olympic qualifying. They get rested, they come in fresh, they play their NBA season this year for Chicago and San Antonio. Carlos Delfino, he's hurt right now. He's playing for Toronto. The half ends in the United States. They're going to hear it from Mike Krzyzewski about the letdown here, as the second quarter was very competitive, unlike the first.
And Carmelo Anthony doing a lot of the heavy lifting early in the ball game. 17 points and 5 rebounds as the United States takes a huge lead into the locker room at halftime here at the FIBA Tournament of the Americas. 66-39. We'll be back. The bright lights of Las Vegas, Nevada. Look at the Strip downtown. City that never met a hotel they didn't like.
They're building a new arena there. At least one, maybe 2. We'll get into that in the second half.
66-39 as we get ready for the start of the 3rd quarter. Time now for the AT&T highlights.
LeBron James along the baseline. Nice defensive rotation by the Virgin Islands. But then the USA team out in transition. Everybody getting involved. The touch passes back and forth. Once again, LeBron throwing it down. Movement without the ball was exemplary. The camaraderie between LeBron and Carmelo Anthony, who's able to finish strong at the hoop despite the foul. Both teams getting to the free throw line and able to convert there.
Look at the big 3. Carmelo Anthony in 13 minutes got 17 points. Kobe Bryant with a quiet 5 tonight, but he does have 3 assists. LeBron James with 11 minutes on the floor tonight and 6 points. And not shown up there on the screen, Michael Redd had 15 points. All 15 of the points, Bill, coming in the last part of the first period.
He had a 3.5-minute stretch where he had 15 points. That is Wilt Chamberlain-esque. But then we never really saw him again, as Krzyzewski has such a arsenal to draw from. And he's not going to wear anybody out, because not only do they have to play 10 games in 12 days, there's an NBA season that starts their training camp on October 1st, and these guys have obligations there as well.
Well, the United States not the only team getting ready for major competitions, participating in other games. Spain recently playing against Germany, and Juan Carlos Navarro, now the Memphis Grizzlies, leading the way with 18. Dirk Nowitzki had 14 points. France defeating Portugal. Tony Parker back from that ankle injury. He had 21 points. Boris Diaw got the team's insurance and clearance to play from the Suns. He had 4. Slovenia defeating Italy. Andrea Bargnani, coming back from Lithuania, defeating Italy. Bargnani coming back from a back injury, but getting back to Spain real quick, right? Some interesting news today out of Toronto. Jose Garbajosa will not be allowed to play. The Raptors not clearing Jorge Garbajosa to play because of that somewhat gruesome injury that he suffered against the Celtics earlier this year.
Hopefully, Carvalho will be able to get all the way better, but it's going to take a long time. These injuries are just brutal. Those scores were from a friendly series of tournaments. The European qualifying, which is going to get underway shortly in Spain, it's the European counterpart to what we have here in Las Vegas, the FIBA Tournament of the Americas.
Eurobasket getting underway September the 3rd in Spain, and the Spanish team and some of the team players from Spain that I've had a chance to speak with really looking forward to getting things back to where they were a season ago when they won the World Championships and doing it on home soil.
They play a beautiful style, and they were able to win that championship without the services of Pau Gasol, who had broken his foot in the semifinal match. But Greece, after beating the United States, Greece, they failed to show up in the gold medal game.
And that's being nice. Here's a look at the teams that have already qualified for the Olympic Games. China gets in as the host nation. Spain gets in as the winner of the World Championships last year. And Iran winning the Asia zone because China already got in.
It's only a 12-team tournament. So 9 spots still to be determined, and you would have to think that the United States would get one of those. But when you look at the Virgin Islands first half scoring, Krauser, we've talked about him at the top. He led the team with 9. Edwin had 9 as well. Shepard had 7. Reimer had 7. And with the Virgin Islands outscoring the United States in the second quarter by 226-24, you have to believe they have the confidence right now to try to make this a more competitive game.
LeBron James with great defensive rotation coming up with the steal. Kobe Bryant with a reverse. And Kobe with some pyrotechnics on the reverse layup. 71-39. We talked just a few moments ago about how he had a pretty quiet first half, but Kobe Bryant celebrating his 29th birthday today with a sweet layup for the score. And we talked about yesterday, Bill, the fact that he has really dedicated himself to getting in prime condition. Kobe Bryant, look at him, folks. He has lost 18 pounds since the end of his regular season with the Los Angeles Lakers. He says, interesting, he talked about mortality a little bit, said, hey, you know, I'm pushing up on 30 now. The metabolism isn't what it used to be. And Kobe Bryant has always been the type of guy, admittedly, that has been able to get away with eating whatever he wanted to. Pizza, ice cream, hamburgers, all the fun stuff, Bill. But now it's a steady regimen of baked chicken and fish and greens.
But a year ago, he professed to have bulked up to carry a heavier load. This year, it's a different story. And that's really been the story of Kobe Bryant's career. Every single season, it has been some other focus, some other outside element that's defined who he is, and that's one of the major reasons why this, at age 29, is the first time he's ever been able to put on the United States jersey.
Kobe Bryant recently, and within the span of 24 hours this summer, said that first he wanted to be traded by the Los Angeles Lakers, then recanted the majority of those statements, and during the course of this USA Senior Men's National Basketball Team camp and tournament, he has refused in large part to comment on that situation, not wanting to detract from the focus here for the American team.
I can't imagine the Lakers trading him. Who are you going to get for him?
Not value, that's for sure.
No. Maybe Steve Nash, but Steve is well into his 30s. Tim Duncan, San Antonio's not trading him. LeBron James, is Cleveland going to trade a 6 or 7 year younger LeBron James for Kobe Bryant, who might not enjoy making that move from Los Angeles to Cleveland?
Here's a look at the foul called against the USA. Kevin Shepard driving to the bucket.
That was tremendous defense by LeBron James on the wing.
Kevin Shepard, the 27-year-old, averaging 5 points a game in the recent Pan Am games that they played in. Played professional basketball this past season in Venezuela, as well as Argentina.
Played his college basketball at Jacksonville University, same place as the legend Artist Gilmore.
Quickly up court, the United States, and there is the Phoenix Suns influence that Mike D'Antoni perhaps has imparted on the USA. The fact that they won out after a make, Bill.
How interesting, though, for all these players to come and play in this wide-open, freelance style. I'm shocked that this basket doesn't count.
It might have in the NBA with the N1.
And then from this, under D'Antoni and Nate McMillan, the NBA guys, then they go back to their regular teams, and their coach is saying, slow it down, call some plays.
Kobe fouled on his move to the bucket. The United States national team continues pool play in the 2007 FIBA America's Championship through this weekend. Join us Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2 as the United States takes on Canada and finishes out pool play on Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. That's the big one against Brazil. All games also available on ESPN360.com. It's the 2007 FIBA America's Championship on the ESPN family of networks. That Brazil game going to be very, very interesting. They've got Nene and Leandro Barbosa both playing for Brazil, and Thiago Splitter has looked particularly well so far. A big man, about 6'10", an NBA draft pick by the San Antonio Spurs. Splitter played his European professional basketball in Spain, arguably the best league outside of the NBA. Bill.
It used to be Italy, but it's shifted over to Spain, and Splitter, as Kobe Bryant is serenaded by the fans on his 29th birthday here. It is so nice to see Kobe smiling. People raving about Splitter. I have not had the privilege of seeing him play yet, but all the coaches for the United States just say this guy, he has really been a force. And Leandro Barbosa, I mean, who had 30 points in their first game for Brazil.
Right now, Bill, you can pick up the vibe a little bit and hear the chorus. The fans moments ago singing happy birthday to Kobe Bryant. This is the day that he turns 29. Good defensive help by Dwight Howard, and here's the United States in transition. Jason Kidd back to Carmelo Anthony. Inside, Howard fouled. And speaking with some of the players, they say that Dwight Howard is, quote-unquote, they've got new vernacular. He's beasting people. He is just a beast inside, and brings up a point that we were talking about during the break, Bill. Interior scoring. The United States was hurt by interior scoring against Greece in the loss last year in the World Championships. Conversely, does the United States team have enough of that interior scoring at the other end?
This is not the type of roster, big man-wise, that has players in the lineage of Wilt, Kareem, Shaq, Hakeem Olajuwon, 4 of the 5 greatest centers to ever play basketball. These players would, throw Tyson Chandler out, who's not an offensive factor at all. But Amari Stoudemire, Dwight Howard put up good numbers, but they're more dunkers, they're more finishers off other people's creativity. These are not the type of players, Howard and Stoudemire, who you just say, okay, post them up, give them the ball, run a post split on the ball side, run a down screen or a back screen on the weak side, and say, okay, let's run our offense through that. And that could very easily be a liability for this United States team. Oh, that shot baked in.
Victor knocks it down, and there are going to be times, maybe not this tournament, but next year in the Olympics, provided the United States earns one of the 2 spots here, that they might have to throw it down on the block and get something out of a Dwight Howard or an Amari Stoudemire.
But it's emblematic of the decline of the big man in basketball in general.
Anthony with the bucket.
And with Dwight Howard and Amari Stoudemire both choosing to forego an opportunity to play college basketball. Tim Duncan, the great big man, the greatest big man in the game today, along with Shaquille O'Neal. Between the two of them, they had 7 years of college basketball. 4 for Tim at Wake Forest and 3 for Shaq at LSU.
And Jason Kidd knocks it out of bounds off of the Virgin Islands Elliger. And it's coming back the other way to the United States. Jason Kidd, once again, ubiquitous. He is everywhere. And that pass was everywhere.
Pass it to himself. Come on.
Kobe from downtown coming up a little bit short. Out of bounds. Been a slow night offensively for Kobe Bryant. There's Sylvester Anderson, the head coach of the Virgin Islands. Currently the head coach at Jacksonville University.
Kobe seemed a little bit more determined to get some shots up in this third quarter.
He's always had a pretty good trigger. And here he is with Jason Kidd on the break.
He put that off the board.
LeBron James with a finish.
You can see that coming.
The lead is 34 points for the United States, cruising once again.
Jason Kidd poking it away.
Boy, Jason Kidd filling his hat with steals. Kobe had it knocked away by Krauser out of bounds. It'll be United States basketball. This is a team certainly lethal in transition, as shown there. But what happens, the question begs, what happens when a team limits possessions because of the shorter clock? It's only a 40-minute game as opposed to 48. What happens when you've got a shorter game?
And a team that shoots the ball well, which neither Venezuela or the Virgin Islands have done. There's another lob pass.
At one for Dwight Howard with the slam. We've got about 8 or 9 screensavers / Sports Center moments already here in the ballgame. Krauser a little bit strong. Kidd on the push.
I'm excited about looking at the opportunity of Dwight Howard playing for Stan Van Gundy, who I think is just a top-tier coach. A new coach in Orlando. They're going to get a new building down there, so everyone in Central Florida is ecstatic about the direction of Orlando, which for a while there was a question whether they'd even remain in the state of Florida.
Carmelo Anthony at the free throw line with the United States leading 80-44. You think about the journey of Carmelo Anthony after the 2004 Olympic experience, Bill, which was very impropitious for him. He was seen and perceived, true or otherwise, as a bit of a malcontent in Athens while playing for Larry Brown on that team. But the following year, after they were eliminated by the San Antonio Spurs, the day after, remember this story, he called up Steve Hess, the Denver Nuggets strength and conditioning coach, said, "Steve, take me out on a run." They went and worked out. He got his body in shape. He dropped about 15 pounds, and he has been a different Carmelo Anthony ever since. Really